example, if we're using the 10 frame, or for stage 3 it would be a 1 frame because we might be adding 5/10 and 2/10 or 1/2 and 1/5. Whatever we use is our value of the unit. When we send students back to tables for parts 3 and 4 of a 5-part lesson, whether it's teacher-led practice or student-centered practice, I would want them to be recording on a 10 frame in their whiteboards. So I simply take out my class set of 30, and because I've actually created zones in the room, so in my classroom you can see I've set it up with groups of 4, and when I send children back to tables, I make those rapid decisions every lesson based on the evidence that I see when students are seated on the floor during the warm-up and where I'm introducing the new content. My first zone will be for students that need to be right under my nose and working at the front of the room to one side. They're not necessarily ability grouped. For me, we are actually seating strategically based on dynamics first and foremost, and then on their ability in mathematics. So I need those children to the front and the side. Also to the front and the side, I have another group of 4 students that can work quite independently. I also need those down the front and right under my nose because they often are the students that decide, oh, I know the maths, I'm just going to choose my own adventure. So I need those students both down the front and at the side as well. The other zones in my room, when I then send them back to tables from the floor, I've peeled off, if you like, my group of 4 students here and here, and then I fill inwards, and I physically model that in the room. So essentially the last table where I send students back to is that middle table. They're the students that sometimes we get a good read on them. Yes, they've got it, or they may be students one day they've got it, the next day they haven't, and we're just not sure. And they're usually the hardest students for us to make judgments about. So when we hand out the whiteboard sleeves, as you could imagine, I start by handing them out on this side of the room because these are the 4 students that need the most amount of time to do their thinking to follow the instruction. I then simply walk around the room and hand those out to the other side. But as you hand out equipment, you have to give children something to do. While you're doing that, I like to give them something to do while I can assess them visually. So I might say to them, for example, on the 10 frame, please check that you have 50 small squares or 50 small quadrilaterals on your page. So I'll always give children something to do whilst I'm handing out that equipment. At the same time, I also have to hand out our whiteboard markers and erasers. This time, however, when I hand these out, I hand these out from the other side of the room because these are our students that usually do the least amount of less desirable things. So that's where I start on the other side of the room and hand out the equipment in terms of marker pens and erasers. So there you have it, a quick little tip of how you can hand out equipment in under 2 minutes.